At some point, you start noticing something you didn't expect. You assumed that when your reality finally changed, you would feel different as a person, not just in your circumstances, but internally, more certain, more relieved, more complete. But instead, your daily experience feels almost the same. You're still moving through your day, still thinking familiar thoughts, still responding to things in a way that feels normal. And a quiet question shows up. Shouldn't I feel different by now? That question doesn't come from doubt. That question comes from expectation. Because most people believe that when something shifts externally, there should be a matching emotional shift internally. A moment where everything clicks. A moment where you finally feel like the version of yourself who has the result. But the manifesting state doesn't work that way. The internal shift happens first. So by the time your reality reflects that shift, your mind has already adjusted. Your identity has already stabilized. And that's why your experience feels normal. For example, you could receive something you've been waiting for, and instead of reacting strongly, you simply acknowledge the result and move on. Not because the result doesn't matter, but because your mind already accepted that result earlier. Or you find yourself in a situation that used to trigger you, and your reaction is calm, but instead of feeling surprised by that calmness, your mind treats that response as expected. That's where confusion starts. Because you were expecting a noticeable emotional shift, but your internal state already made that shift before the result showed up. So when the result appears, there's nothing left to react to. That's the part people misinterpret. They think, if I don't feel different, maybe nothing really changed. But that conclusion is backwards. Feeling the same is often the clearest sign that something already changed internally, because the version of you who does not have the result would react differently. That version of you would analyze the situation, look for confirmation, question the result. But the version of you who already normalized the result doesn't need to do any of that, and you can see that shift in subtle ways. You stop replaying situations in your mind. You stop trying to make your reality feel real. You stop looking for signs that confirm your state, not because you're forcing yourself to stop, but because those behaviors no longer feel necessary. And instead of a dramatic emotional peak, what replaces that expectation is something quieter: stability. And stability doesn't feel intense. Stability feels natural. That's why people overlook the shift. They expect a peak moment, but what actually happens is a leveling out. Your emotional responses become steady. Your thoughts become less reactive. Your attention becomes less focused on outcomes. So when you catch yourself asking, shouldn't I feel different by now? That question is actually pointing to something important. Not that something is missing, but that the internal shift already happened earlier. And now your reality is catching up to a state that already felt normal. Nothing to chase, nothing to force, nothing to confirm. Just a state that already became part of your identity. Subscribe and enter your manifesting state.